All right, good everybody. Hope you had an amazing night's sleep. Hope you from day yesterday started the week off hot. Couldn't ask for anything more, and we're looking to see what the market has for us today. So as always, make sure you're throwing your one in the chat. It is really the first step to changing your life, but it has to happen intentionally, right? You've got to put forth intention each and every time you wake up, each and every time you go about executing. Because again, if you think that you're just going to trip and fall into it and things will start working, that is not the case. You have to intend for what you are doing to come to pass, right? You have to put forth active intention in order to accomplish that goal. And that's what we do here each and every morning, right? So make sure you put your one in the chat, signifying your intention to get 1% better, right? To close the gap just a little bit more, to make just a little bit more progress toward where you want to be. And if you do that each and every day, that becomes your default setting, right? Where I wanted to get to in life was where my default setting was me getting better, right? My default setting each and every day. I'm like, okay, I wake up and it is my programming to get a little bit better. That all begins with you setting that intention, right? After a while, it just becomes, like I said, your default setting. That's what you're looking to do each and every day. It doesn't feel like work. It just feels like another day of life, which we're privileged to have, right? And you can go about accomplishing your goals, but treat each and every day with intention, each and every moment with intention, each and every action with intention, right? And that intention cascades into life-changing habits, right? In a life-changing lifestyle. So we're going to go ahead and dive into our first news that we have going on this morning. Our top news, bonds and bills. Wild swings continue to envelop the bond market, with two notable names in the industry making fresh calls on the sector. The pair's statements also continue to come hours apart from each other, as they did on August 3rd, when they both became growling bond bears and added to the pressure on long-term treasuries. Since then, the yield on the 10-year treasury, which is US 10Y, jumped nearly an entire percentage point, climbing from 4.07% to top 5% yesterday, while the 30-year treasury went from 4.16% to a high of 5.15% in just under 2 months. Now, in terms of old tweets, Bill Ackman, quote, if long-term inflation is 3% instead of 2% and history holds, then we could see the 30-year treasury yield equal 3% plus 0.5%, which is the real rate, plus 2%, which is term premium, or 5.5%, and it can happen soon. There are many times in history where the bond market reprices the long end of the curve in a matter of weeks, and this seems like one of those times. Bill Gross said 10-year yields overall bearish. The new outlook, Bill Ackman said, we covered our bond short. There's too much risk in the world to remain short bonds at current long-term rates. The economy is slowing faster than recent data suggests. And then Bill Gross said, quote, regional bank carnage and recent rise in auto delinquencies to long-term historical highs indicate U.S. economy slowing significantly, recession in fourth quarter. On bonds, invest in the curve, various combinations, 2 and 10, 2 and 5 should go positive before year end. I'm buying SFR H5, which are SOFR futures. Higher for longer is yesterday's mantra. So we're seeing a lot of what I was talking about in the beginning of the year continue to materialize, right? When we talk about auto loan delinquencies, right? Throw a 2 in the chat if you remember me talking about auto loan delinquencies all throughout this year and how those were going to start to pick up, right? Same thing with credit card delinquency. All of that is coming to fruition here, which is so nice because, again, if you're locked in with us on the pre-market prep session, you can really start to see the future, but it's not by any extraordinary, measure of yourself. It's just by seeing the writing on the wall, right? And keeping up with things and investing in yourself to get 1% better daily. Now, remember, the last time rates were this high was pre-2008, and it seems like the bills now feel that the rout in treasuries seen in the aftermath of the COVID pandemic has gone too far. Markets appear to have adopted that view on Monday, with the yield on the U.S. 10-year sinking 20 basis points to a low of 4.8%, but it is too soon to see if that sentiment will hold. Term premium is the word on Wall Street, as well as regular investors that are looking at related bond ETFs. But there are many factors at play that can have impacts on benchmark yields. Among them are forecasts and actual economic data, debt sustainability, and geopolitical developments, with eyes tightly kept on the Federal Reserve and words from the officials on financial conditions. In terms of seeking alpha commentary, the important question is, what is driving rates and yields at different maturity? Writes analyst Adam Vicenza. in inversion analytics suggests bottom and long-term treasuries point to Fed cut in 6 months. Sounds very, very data heavy, and that's coming from an econ major. Doesn't sound like it would be a nice little fun light read. And then the U.S. Treasury yield curve has been inverted since 2022, signaling a potential economic downturn. And analytics suggest the ballooning budget deficit is hiding weakness in the economy. So, I mean, what else is new? There's fears about a recession, right? Like it's another day, another dollar in the world in 2023. Inflation through the roof. People scared of recessions. At the end of the day, there's no reason to be afraid of a recession if you can make money using the market, regardless of what the economic circumstances are. That's what I love to in trading, but also in life. Just make things simple, right? Oh, the market's going to crash. What do I do? Learn how to make money off the market going down. Oh, there's a recession. The prices of a lot of things are going up. What am I going to do? Learn how to make money off the prices of things that are going up. I like to, it's kind of like being like lazy yet anti-lazy. It's like I'm not lazy so that I can be lazy, if that makes sense, right? If you're not lazy enough to get up and learn how to use the tools to keep the wealthy wealthy and invest in yourself when it comes to keeping up with opportunities and keeping up with the news, if you do that, which equates to what, 20 to 30 minutes per day, and then you learn how to use the most incredibly powerful tool that financial markets have to offer, and you can literally trade with that. We could have been done for the day in the past 30 minutes to hour of each day for the past like 10 trading days. So you could literally wake up, spend 20, 30 minutes on news, spend 30 minutes to an hour actually trading, and then be done for the day. That is called not being lazy in order to be lazy, right? It's hitting the most birds with the most stones, or with the least stones. Like, I was very work averse growing up. Like, it's not necessarily something to be super proud of, but if it's like, if I can avoid doing tough labor, I'm going to do it, right? It's the same thing here in 2023. If you take the time to learn a few things that nobody really wants to take the time to learn, you could save so much time and energy on like everything else, which is a huge life hack that like not a lot of people want to look into. They rather spend more time doing like less directly like exertive work and do that for longer, right? And then you have more problems, more things to worry about. You wake up and you're abreast on what's going on in the world. You solve like 10 problems at once. Should I buy this house now? Should I buy this car now? Should I do this now? Should I move now? Should I put my kids in that school? You can answer literally all of those questions just by being abreast on what's going on in the world, right? You can answer all of them pretty easily, pretty handily, and back it up with data, right? So the longer you put your head in the sand, the more questions you have, the more tough life seems, and the more likely you are to remain in that same spot stuck due to that feeling of overwhelm. So it's super important to recognize that if you feel overwhelmed in life, there are a lot of questions that need answering. You can really answer a lot of those questions and solve a lot of those problems, both monetary and otherwise, just by being abreast on what's going on in the world with unbiased information and learning how to use the tools that are set up to keep the rich richer in order to just keep you alive. You don't need a Lambo, right? But it can pay your bills, right? Which is really, really nice. So that's just my little 2 cents for the day, but super important when it comes to mindset. Nobody can tell you how to live your life. You can have a job in trade. You can not have a job in trade. You can have a passion project in trade, right? This is something where like you don't need to do one or the other, but man, it really, really helps if it's something that you can do and do effectively. In terms of consumer news, cuckoo for cocoa. As Halloween approaches, it looks like candies could become more expensive as hotter and drier weather caused by El Nino is tightening the global cocoa supply. Not the cocoa crunch. Cocoa futures in New York jumped as much as 2.5% to 3,786 per metric ton, dollars per metric ton on Monday, marking the highest level in over 44 years. The 2022 to 23 season has already seen a deficit of about 100,000 tons of cocoa, while hoarding of cocoa beans has been on the rise due to expectations of higher prices. Seeking Alpha analyst Weather Wealth previously forecast that higher cocoa prices can benefit large chocolate brand owners, but strain retailers, restaurants, and ingredient suppliers. So, we've got everything else. First it was eggs, and then it was bacon, and then it was, chicken wings. And we've got something else right now that the supply is being stretched very thin on, and that is cocoa. So for all my candy people, my trick-or-treaters, my snackers, it might be tough, right? But this might be the time, might be the opportunity to scale back on the chocolate eating. I'm not much of a candy person myself, so I'm not really sweating it. But I don't know. I like old people candy sometimes. Almond Joy, don't bring Almond Joy on this side. It's not making it out. I'll crush some Almond Joy. Am I gonna get like M&Ms or something? Nah, that's too hip, too cool for me. Hit me up with a nice little Almond Joy, and I'll be okay. In terms of tech news, live traffic ahead of potential ground invasion. A potential ground invasion into Gaza. Alphabet's Google has temporarily disabled local real-time traffic updates on its apps, Google Maps, and Waze. Apple Maps also disabled such updates in Israel, with the move reportedly implemented at the request of the Israel Defense Forces. Quote, as we have done previously in conflict situations, we have temporarily disabled live traffic conditions as in busyness information out of consideration for the safety of local communities, a Google Maps spokesperson said. Google had made a similar move last year when it disabled real-time vehicle and foot traffic data in Ukraine after Russia invaded the country. So just kind of some updates on the ramifications in the tech world that war has nowadays in real time, which is pretty crazy to even think about. But that's something I never considered. Now, in terms of cryptocurrency news here, crypto rally. Bitcoin bulls are back with the top cryptocurrency briefly touching 35K today as traders continue to wager on the potential approval of what would be the first exchange traded fund, and the imminent approval of Bitcoin spot ETFs has driven considerable momentum toward Bitcoin, said Matteo Greco, analyst at Finekia. Now, quote, this combined with the scheduled Bitcoin halving in the latter part of April 2024 has prompted investors to favor Bitcoin over other digital assets. The bullish price action buoyed crypto-related stocks, including Coinbase, Riot, and MicroStrategy, MSTR. Now, you guys know that typically whenever we play, crypto via proxy in the stock market, we do so through Coinbase, whose ticker is Coin. We do so through Riot, right, whose ticker is Riot, and then Mara, whose ticker is MARA. So those are definitely some tickers that are kind of under the microscope here this morning, right? If there's opportunity, awesome. If not, you don't want to chase, right, and be left holding the bag. There was some kind of rumblings with Coinbase yesterday that had me look at it, but I didn't really favor the technicals as much. And given what happened last time when we got news about the Bitcoin ETF that didn't end up being true, I was like, okay, I'd rather wait and see, what ends up happening than being like, oh, okay, hey, we're moving. So if we get some, continued movement today, or we check out the opportunity, see if this movement here today and this week manifests any larger term opportunity, then definitely worth, taking a look into. So checking out those charts, right? Doing your top-down analysis and saying, okay, is this a great chance on a larger time frame? Was this a shorter time frame pump? Dylan and I were talking yesterday. Dylan, big crypto guy. We were talking. Yeah, there we go. Bitcoin to the moon. Yeah, Dylan texted me that exact message while I was making dinner, and I got a good laugh about it because we were just talking about the technicals on Bitcoin earlier, and then it starts going on this crazy run. But yeah, I mean, I like it above 32K, especially on the weekly. If we could stay above 32,000 on Bitcoin on the weekly, we can definitely fire off a nice big old weekly double bottom, right? And then the sky's the limit from there. In terms of information on things like the halving and all that, you want to talk to your local, crypto maxi about that. I've been given the lowdown about the halving before, but I forget, so I don't want to speak on something that I'm not, completely sure on. But yeah, it's something that's interesting to look into, right? And like I said, we can check out. I don't think there's swim up right now. Otherwise, I'd be maybe tossing out some nuggets, but we'll look at it as it loads in the background. But yeah, crypto on the move, right? We're back up, so let's see what ends up happening from there. In terms of today's markets in Asia, Japan, we're up 0.2%, Hong Kong down 1.1%, China up 0.8%, India closed. The footy in London flat, Paris up 0.7%, Frankfurt up 0.3%, the Dow up 0.4%, S&P up 0.5%, NASDAQ up 0.6%. This is all as of like 7 a.m. Crude oil up 0.4%, gold down 0.8%, and Bitcoin up 12.6% to $34,404. In terms of today's economic calendar, we have PMI data, PMI composite flash data at 9:45 a.m. All that means is that, at 9:45 a.m. we can get one of those weird 1 minute, 1 minute, few minute candles that kind of gap up or we go down real quick, but just be aware that that's what's going on, right? And also we got the nice siren since I'm facing the street. In terms of what else is happening, we'll finish up here with our rapid fire news rundown, stock news rundown. Nvidia, AMD making ARM based chips to rival Intel. Intel actually had, I think, I need to check it back out, but Intel actually had an interesting looking chart to the downside. So Intel had an interesting looking chart. I know that they slid like 4% yesterday, but that's not the furthest that they can drop. So Intel is another one to take a look at here. I don't know if it was like a rising wedge or a bear flag, something like that, but it was on a higher time frame, and we kind of lost that uptrend support. I was checking that out off of the news that I saw on them yesterday, of them just being down. So Chevron, ticker CVX, sees no antitrust issues with Hess takeover. Tesla, DOJ still asking questions on autopilot features. Lockheed Martin, ticker LMT, drops out of U.S. Air Force tanker bidding. Lee cycle or LI cycle, don't know, ticker LICY, collapse seen as potential warning for EV sector. AGNC investment, ticker AGNC, sees lower Q3 earnings, stock slides. IEA sticks to fossil fuel forecast, undercuts calls for more investment. Redfin, new home listings tick up in September, but cancellations rise. Occidental Petroleum, ticker Oxy, falls as mega deals remove potential buyers. So that's something we talked about, right, with Oxy, about how there were people that were possibly looking to purchase it, but then I guess, Hess got purchased and everybody else got picked, and now Oxy's kind of sitting there with it tanned up, still waiting, waiting to get selected. So, bad news for them, but it is what it is. In terms of these crypto tickers, let's see what we got going on, because we just loaded. You know how I am, gonna go blank chart. Let's see if we got anything interesting happening. Yeah, I mean, overall, higher term, if Coinbase can break 86.36 on the weekly, then I like Coinbase long term, right, on the weekly. So Coinbase calls with some length on them, right, LENF. In terms of the daily, we've really just been stuck in consolidation from 70 to 80, but again, over 86.36 is when we can really start to look good here, like we're making some moves on Coinbase. In terms of the hourly, right, Coinbase fired a nice little hourly bull flag overnight. If it retraces, what is this little area right here? If it retraces 80.73 and holds on the hourly, could be a nice little intraday to swing opportunity on Coinbase. So keep an eye out for that, right? Coinbase possibly even retracing that level. If we do and hold that, a nice spot to get into some coin call lottos. So let's see here. So we'll see, right? Let's see if coin can hold it. Same thing. We check out Riot and Mara. Same thing, right? Hourly bull flag that fired. They've also been, just consolidating, kind of very similar daily and weekly charts. Yeah, the main thing is really kind of in terms of short term taking advantage of the sentiment would be these hourly bull flags that these tickers fired overnight. They can come back to retrace breakout. That would definitely make for, a good potential opportunity. But other than that, nothing really jumping out at me. So watch out for that. Make sure that it holds where it needs to hold. If you don't know what I'm talking about, the hourly chart or something holding or something not holding or breakout or not breakout, go to adamhollandeducates.com. Enroll in stock options made easy. There's payment plans available, but there are a few resources where you can go in, purchase it, and then what you actually learn can help pay off the cost of what you just purchased. That's the amazing thing about stock options. That's the amazing thing about the market. That's the most amazing thing about the stock options made easy community. So without further ado, let's dive into what we got going on today, right? With the market, everybody, continue to invest in yourselves. Congratulations on getting 1% better, right? Pat yourself on the back for that. We crushed it yesterday with the swings. We've been killing it with the swings. And then also with the day trades, right? So we were in and out Nice big money home runs. I don't even know what those lottos went to. Probably 400, 500% over the course of the day because SPY really, really ran. But we don't need that. We get our money right at that point. We did what? Triple our money. And then we peace out, done for the day. So let's see what the market has for us going into today on October 24th, 2023. Everybody have a great, safe rest of the day. We'll be back here tomorrow morning for our next pre-market prep session. Have a good one.